Hey, my name's Ayaka, and welcome or welcome back to my wonderful, so amazing, so awesome podcast. Don't mind your business, mind my podcast, Mindelixir. This episode, I'm going to be talking about kind of a bit about persistent or self-doubt and feeling discouraged and all of that. So previously this episode was just me talking about my discouragement about the podcast, but I actually wanted to replace that episode with something more positive because I just didn't like my mindset and the ideas and vibes I was giving off in that episode. So, yeah, this one is going to be a bit more positive. I think. So I think it's important to take action to achieve your goals and projects or whatever. But oftentimes we just get so caught up in the end result or what we want it to look like, the bigger picture, that we forget that there's actually a process to it, that it actually takes hard work, dedication, and effort. And it may not always be easy, but you have to work towards it. There's many different steps and parts and components to achieving the end result. It doesn't just happen easily overnight. You have to put in persistence, hard work, effort. And even if at first it may not look the best on your first try or whatever you're trying to achieve, whatever goal you're trying to get, whatever project or big thing you're working on, you should just try and try again. Because I know for me, my first few episodes of this podcast weren't anywhere near the best. I do admit. Well, maybe that's an understatement. They were very sloppy, but I tried and tried again and I kept going. And we can't just expect results overnight, obviously, but there's stepping stones to success and to getting where you want to be in life. And even though where you are right now, you may feel stagnant, you may feel like, oh, so and so, it isn't growing, I'm not progressing, I'm not getting better at this. Or you may feel as though, oh man, why isn't what I'm trying to say is maybe you might feel as though you're not getting better at so and so, or you're not improving at this and that. You just have to keep going for it. You have to keep trying because we have to actually be ready to take the steps to do what you want to get. You have to actually be willing to take the steps to do what you want to achieve. We're always seeing people's end results and we're always seeing people's success, but we don't see the hard work behind that success. We only see what they have for us to see. Like we may see someone with 1 million subscribers on YouTube, but where did they start? Do you know how many hours of editing they might have had to spend before they actually got big on YouTube, working towards that end result? So yeah, it actually takes persistence. We have to think about it's a process. There's with hard work behind it. Whatever you're doing. Maybe you're learning the violin. Like I want to try and relearn the violin. I know I keep saying that. I always say shit, but I don't actually do it. But you know what? Now that I'm saying it, I am going to do it. I'm going to do it. I promise myself I'm going to do it. But back to my point, it's whatever you want, whatever success you're trying to get, whatever goal you're working towards, it's not just going to happen in 2 seconds, not just going to happen overnight. Well, of course, that depends on the situation, but the more long term sort of things, that takes effort and that takes persistence. Even it will most likely your work and what you're doing, it'll most likely pay off in the long term. Although in the short term, you may think, oh man, this is so tiring. Oh man, this is so annoying or whatever. But it's a process. Like you can't just be like, oh, I want to get all A's in geometry class. And then you take your test and you get mad because you didn't get an A. No, you have to actually take the steps to get that A in geometry class. You have to make sure you're studying the work, taking notes so that you can study those notes, taking good notes in class and paying attention, going up to the teacher, asking questions after you review your stuff. Whenever you take your test, review the questions you got wrong and ask the teacher what you can improve on and all of that. You have to actually, it takes steps to get towards the end result, towards your goal. That's what I'm trying to say. You have to look at the ways you can improve on whatever you're doing in life. You have to think of how can I improve on this or what can I do to help it. For example, for me, with this podcast, I actually put out an episode talking about my doubts. Like I said before, this episode that I'm gonna replace it with this one. This episode, I'm actually replacing that episode that I talked about my doubts, And I didn't like my mindset in that one because it was all negative and I was just complaining and I was just talking about what I didn't actually look at what I could do to improve or grow in my podcast. I was just complaining about how it actually was, which is what I see was wrong with my mindset at the time. And I've learned from that, which is why I'm making this episode to talk about it. Talking about how to achieving your goals and persistence and the process that doesn't happen overnight. Success doesn't happen overnight. I mean, you never see all of the long nights or whatever that CEOs had to think coming up with their business or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, let me roll the clip for the episode that I'm replacing right now if I can find it and try to edit it in. Roll the clip or something like that. I don't know. That's kind of cringy, but in general, my whole podcast is kind of cringy. Just listening to be cringy. And whenever I just look at all these other like teen podcasters, I guess I just wonder why my podcast isn't growing. But I'm just basically ranting about how discouraged I feel with this podcast because no one's listening. Okay, so yeah, as you can hear, my mistake in that was I just had such a stagnant mindset. I needed a growth mindset. I needed to think about ways I could improve and creative solutions. And I need to work with what I have. Well, actually, I already was working with what I have, but what I'm saying is maybe you want to do something, but you don't have the supplies for it at the moment. Use the resources that you have. For example, with this podcast, if you want to start a podcast, but you don't have a microphone, you don't have money to pay for one, use your phone. You don't need to to start a podcast. You don't need to pay for any fancy equipment. Use the resources you have at the time. It may not be the best, but whatever. And this can apply to many other situations too. Maybe you want to be a professional artist, but you don't have all those fancy colors and pens and digital iPad thingies. I don't know the correct terminology for all of that. But you don't have all the best and top notch art supplies. Work with what you have. Use your Crayola colored pencils. Well, actually, those Crayolas are kind of bad. Work with what you have. Use the resources that you have to achieve your goal, and maybe you'll be able to get what you want in the long term. I mean, you probably will. It probably will pay off. It will pay off. What am I saying? It probably will. It will pay off. You have to be a problem solver. You have to think creatively because although you may encounter bumps along the way with whatever you're doing in life, you just have to learn, you have to adapt, you have to overcome. Think about what you can do. I need to stop having we shouldn't just have such a stagnant mindset and think, "Oh man." You have to think, "Oh, this didn't work out. What can I do to improve?" Or maybe I'm not growing on so and so. What can I do to improve it? What can I do to grow this? What can I do to achieve my goal? Maybe this didn't work out, but I can try this. Which brings me to my point about persistence. There's quite a few things that I give up a bit easily at, and I think I should just be more persistent. Maybe it doesn't work this way, but I can try it this way, like literally just said. Instead of just listing out our problems and complaining about them, maybe we can try to find solutions to them. Although not all problems are just easy one-way fixes, but we can try to figure out what we can do to improve in whatever way we can at whatever goal we're trying to work towards or whatever we're trying to achieve. Instead of just saying, "Oh, something's wrong with this. Oh my gosh, this blah 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 blah." We need to actually take action and do what we want to achieve that goal and do what we want to overcome that. Yeah, and I know that may not apply to all situations, but it kind of applies to this one. I know I'm being very generic and this might not apply to you, but it kind of applies to me in what I'm talking about. We can't just give up on the first try or because something didn't work the first time. Think around it. Think of ways that we can work around that, creative solutions, like I just said. And I actually have this wonderful quote that I think goes with this episode pretty well. I have no idea who did it, who said this quote. I just found it on Pinterest. Yeah. Wait, you should go follow my Pinterest. I'm going to link that down below in the description. Go follow my Pinterest. Make me Pinterest famous. And also go follow my Instagram too, because duh, why not? I found a quote and I thought it really fit this episode. Doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will, which is true. Because although your first try may not be the best, just because you get discouraged along the way doesn't mean you should give up. Just because you have a little bit of doubt doesn't mean you should stop at what you're doing or whatever. And obviously, doubt, it's just a regular thing. Like we may be unsure of anything we're doing or feel a little bit discouraged when taking on new ideas or new opportunities or trying out new things or working toward goals or trying to succeed at something, blah, blah, blah. But what I'm saying, I'm not saying that we shouldn't be doubtful, but we shouldn't just reject everything. But whenever the doubt it becomes an issue, like it prevents us from doing what we'd like to do or continuing forward to whatever goal we're trying to achieve, whatever project we're trying to build, whatever skill we're trying to do, then that's when it becomes a problem. So what I'm saying is, don't let doubt kill your dreams because although you may fail at once, try and try again. As whoever, I don't know, Leonardo da Vinci, whoever said try and try again, I think a lot of people, whoever originally said that said. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this episode. Thank you for listening. Um, I literally recorded this episode on Halloween, so spooky, But whatever. Bye again. I know. I don't know. My outros are so awkward. I need to come up with a better outro. Something like "See you later, alligator." Yeah, make sure to tune into my next episodes. Follow my Instagram. Make sure to leave me a hopefully positive review if you like it. And yeah, bye.